explain it right now. I've got notes. It's time. Coordinated with a podium that isn't here. And so I'm just going to start talking. And I'm going to tell you on the front end when I stop. That will be starting in like 3 minutes. And we're going to walk. We're going to run. We're going to sprint. Honor the company by being back by 11. But I'm going to talk until I think you can sprint in the amount of time that you have to get in there. Agree?
Agree.
When we leave, we will not talk. We will not take pictures. We will not sing Kumbaya. We will sprint to the seat and be present for the rest of the program. All right?
Correct.
I am moved by what she just gave to you.
Yes. Yes.
Because I'm telling you that's what it is all about. I'm going to repeat this twice, but I'm going to start with, it's already in here, and I'm going to follow my notes for the purpose of staying on time. But I was with my friend Gloria at Feel the Power recently, and she said to the directors, you have become complacent. And I'm just going to say it, y'all. I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain for the future of our company by calling out the most remarkable women who can move the needle the fastest, and that's you. And if you don't have an orientation that you're excited about, guess what? You're not going to be giving one. If you're not giving one, guess what you're not going to do in your day? You're not going to go warm chat. You're not going to meet people. You're not going to bring new people on. If you don't have something to present, a vision to cast, a woman to pray for, a place to go, if you don't have that in place, you're not going to go find her. Complacent. Our Lululemon lifestyle is over. How many of you wondered if you could wear your shoes and walk at the same time? So, we continue to believe in Mary Kay Ash's philosophy of nothing happens until somebody sells something. It's the foundation of every beauty consultant's business, and selling is the first avenue of potential income. And it's the first thing she must learn how to do and find customers. It's her first concern. Who are my customers? Will they buy anything? So I want to add to that, the art of selling in the movement of product is equivalent to breathing. It's not either or. Of course we sell, we breathe. It's what we do. You don't have to teach a baby to breathe because of the natural airflow in and out of the nostrils. Selling is the same way. It's what we do. Selling needs a schedule and systems consistently in place to support others in learning. And what is caught plus what is taught sustainable throughout the connection to your unit area company events and sheer natural exposure. Directors who create a hyper focus on selling without any kind of attention on growth stay in the suit, but they do not have successful increases over time. Which brings me to the content of today's class. As a leader, you're charged with leading. And please remind me of the 3 ways that we lead.
Example.
As a leader, you're charged with leading that growth. And unless you've developed at least one red jacket a month this seminar year, and have at least 3 people in upward motion right now, I would expect you to personally have here today at least 16 personal qualified team members. Oh, Pam, your expectations are just so fresh. Would you like me to repeat that? Because you've lost your job description. If you haven't developed a red jacket every single month, or have 5 people right now in motion upward, I would expect you to have 16 personal qualifieds, because if nobody else is doing anything, you certainly must be if you understand your job description. That's what leading by example sounds like, you guys, and there are 2 ways to do that. Multiplication through other people and personal selection. Let me say it better. Personal selection and multiplication through other unit members. I loved working through my unit members as a sales director. There were several reasons. One is that rejection was removed from me personally, and it was removed from them. I loved putting my efforts on their behalf. I had an ongoing rule for myself, though, as a sales director. In the course of a month, I had 5 people moving up to red, to on target, to car, to DIQ. I ran with the new and the few, putting time and energy into coaching them to get yes and multiplying with and through their yes to get a yes response and to get them started, and then to multiply through those same women to immediately become seniors and then reds. When I didn't have 5 moving, even 1 month, my personal selection went into overdrive. Not after 2 months, not after 90 days, not after 5 years. Unlike Audrey, I do not apologize for making you feel uncomfortable. I hope you feel uncomfortable.
Amen.
I hope you feel so uncomfortable that you will go home and do something different.
Woo.
It's not about me. I don't care if you like me. I'm old enough. I'm older than she is. It doesn't matter to me anymore. It's not about like, it's about impact.
Amen.
It's about significance. It's about influence. It's about loving you enough not to tickle your ears and to call you to a standard and to a vision that God has already anointed on you, and that you are allowing the way of the world to convince you that we're divided. We're not divided. Who's divided? We're not divided. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Never before in my lifetime has it been more obvious or more relevant for you, the leader, to personally select. Never before has it been more obvious or relevant for women to have an opportunity to be a work-from-home business owner. Never. Mary Kay Ash said every time she took the stage, whether it was an audience of 1 or 6,000 or 15,000, in order to maintain your unit size of around 50, you need to add 5 a month to grow, and beyond that, 10 a month to grow. 5 to maintain, 10 to grow. Basement. Mary Kay Ash basically said that is the D- of performance. So if you're not doing the 5 a month to maintain or the 10 a month to grow, what are we doing to our company, to our founder's legacy? In my heyday of growing my $1 million unit, my generation of peers, Kathy Lou, Debbie Moore, Bette Vernon, Linda Tupin, Jan Defford, Robin Rowland, Lisa Madsen, Gloria May, Cindy Williams, those were my peers. We were terrified of adding fewer than 25 new a month. And we did whatever it took, including personal selection, personal responsibility. Throughout the years, my unit's personality was different. It was always a good, solid selling unit, but we created the culture of women starting their business with product on shelf, the goal of being a star consultant. My responsibility as a leader was also sure to make sure that her initial start either included a launch party or a power start along with her pearls. Back to Audrey. My systems and work hours were built around that exclusively. Growth. I'm sure you're sitting here going, yes, 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 of course, that makes sense. Me too. Really, you too? Because the last time I looked, I don't see numbers the way numbers were when we were building in the heyday. You added 25 last month? Or 10? Or 5? See, we got to keep it real. We got to get out of the land of I know what to do version and start looking at ourselves in the mirror of how we are living and how we are leading. This is not to make you feel bad, send you into shame. I don't want anybody feeling shame. Shame is no good. I do want you to make you feel a little irritated. Not with me. But I will tell you that any great change, any notable increase, any momentum, any movement will start with a very honest leader who looks in the mirror and stops talking about what she knows to do and starts doing, just simply doing. We cannot be complacent. My voice has joined the countless applauding for you during COVID. All of us. We were flipping amazing. We were. You were. For figuring out a virtual party in a way that created results, and for creating a schedule that included 3 or 4 times on screen a week for unit sales, where you were also bringing your own hostesses and 3 to 5 guests, where there's team building opportunity at least 2 times a week minimum, along with custom Zoom event for your girls with their 5 to 10 prospects in a double dare kind of setup. If you didn't get the memo, or you don't know what I'm talking about, or you didn't implement any of that, what was working, and when the world was a sitting duck, if that schedule never made it to you, then you've got to look in the mirror and honestly evaluate what you're doing with the hours of your day. We cannot be people who want $1 million rewards on hobby effort. We love the flexibility aspects of our business, as we well should. But for someone who has buried a husband, buried an offspring national, buried a father, walked through addiction with her now adult son, who, by the way, is 3 years sober. I'm very grateful for the flexibility of our opportunity, but flexible never means instead of. I'll focus on this instead of that. I'll justify this situation, family setback, and I'll eat and live and breathe and worry and micromanage this circumstance in my life 24/7 instead of wrapping my business around it. I'm grateful that in difficult times, I could wrap my business around my life.
Amen.
But those hard times were never instead of my business. There's no employer in the world who would have given me the time and space I needed the way Mary Kay did. So I implore you to position yourself for a season where you feel a little inconvenience now, where it's more than just your Lululemon daily lifestyle, where you get out of your comfort zone and make some tough decisions and do some genuine work with high-level, top-caliber people, personal selection. Of the 4 million women who left the workforce, surely you can meet a few of them. So the company has tasked me with challenging you to get a gold medal. in March. I'm sure everybody in the room can get a gold medal.
Yep.
I mean, really,
Yep.
like today.
Yep.
I've seen people do it in 3 hours when they put their minds to it.
Yep.
I'm sure you can, but I want to put a word to the challenge. I'm not a fan of checkbox winners. They know the prize, they figure out the rewards, they check the box, their unit size never changes, their unit club never increases, but they check the box and they call it winning. So I'm not talking about just getting a gold medal to say, I got a gold medal from the challenge that Pam issued to us on behalf of the company. I'm talking about a personal selection with people who make you visibly sweat, who make you uncomfortable. They're so awesome. Your pits and that little piece of, if you have any peach fuzz at all over your brow, you feel like you need to get a tissue or a beauty blotter because you're talking to him and you just feel yourself looking ugly in front of him. Have you ever had that happen with someone? It's like you showed up feeling fine, looking fine, and then all of a sudden you just feel you're ugly coming out because they're so awesome. That's who I want you to recruit. Instead of looking into your unit a little bit deeper to see if there might just be one more person who's ready to run with you today. How long have you been going on that philosophy? It is not working. Stop it. Stop making them feel like they need to do more because you're really unwilling to do more yourself.
That's good.
Instead of looking into your unit a little bit deeper, see if there might be one person, or if you've recently taken back a unit, go to that failed unit and see if you've got your superstar in that unit. Lord help me. How about you just find a way to attract 25 dynamic women to do career chats with this month before the month's end, and I'm talking about March, because I want you to hear me loud and clear. Purpose without priority is powerless.
Ooh.
You can say it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. How many of you have belief in your top 5 strengths?
Ooh. Yes.
How many of you know your Gallup strengths? Not as many with belief as I thought. Well, let me tell you the good and bad news about belief. I have belief. Belief is it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. That's called the basement version of belief. It's going to happen belief. It's going to happen belief in the balcony version. It's going to happen, and here's my activity. It's going to happen because I'm doing the numbers. It's going to happen. So for those of you who just have the positivity or the belief in your strengths, it's going to happen. Which decade?
I got it.
I was 27, and then I blinked.
Right.
She said, which decade?
So let's just find those women. I want to walk you through this process, 5 plus 2 plus 2. Let's say you haven't had much unit growth. Let's say you haven't even added 50 new unit members in the past 8 months. I'm not going to ask. I know what reports look like, so I already know. And guess what? You're thinking, she's looking at me. No, you're not the only one. See, I said something to make you feel better for a half second, but that's it. Done. Now we're done. Let's say that your unit size hasn't really changed in the past 8 months, but if you do 5 plus 2 plus 2, 5 personals, put 2 of them in the senior consultant position. Go back to last month and get the 2 and put 2 of them in senior consultant position. Now you have 9. And if you do that again and again, it would start to radically and drastically change the momentum of your unit. 5 of your own plus 2 seniors, now you have 7, and 2 seniors from last month, now you have 9. Go into the next month, 5 plus 2 plus 2, 5 personals, 2 new seniors, and 2 new seniors from last month. Now we have 9, except you now have 2 months of this, and people coming into this with excitement and momentum. And as the gold goes from 1 month, now it's multiplying into reds and on targets. If you have a vision to accompany the intent, a vision to accompany the gold medal, confidence will grow. Those wins, yours and theirs, you'll start to feel a movement. And the interest, listen, nobody wants to be left off of a moving ship. How many of you have taken a cruise? How many of you barely got to the port on time before? And you feel like you're stretching a leg over the boardwalk because it's getting ready to pull up. The urgency of getting on the ship, right? But when the ship is tied to dock and you go to little ports of call, you're leisurely. They're not leaving until they are. And you're down in the market buying all the fun stuff. You're like, oh crap! For those of you who've never been on a cruise, that's a sound that the ship makes before they're pulling out of port. And they're gone. And guess what? They don't wait for anybody. They wouldn't wait for Mary Kay Ash, and they wouldn't wait for the #1 national. The ship leaves when the ship leaves, and when the ship leaves, people move. I must suggest your ship has been dry docked for too long. Are you following me? What indication can you give your unit this ship is moving out of the dock?
That's it.
For some of you, there's more at stake. You know the story of the little boy who cried wolf? Have you ever said to your unit, we're going to be a Cadillac unit, or we're going to be a $500,000 unit, or we're going to be $1 million unit, or we're going to build a national area, but the pace doesn't change? Of your existing people, who do you think believes you? Whereas if you add personal selection every month and you start multiplying these high caliber people, oh, they'll believe you. Because they'll know you're not choking them to bring you one this month. Bring me somebody. They will rise up to be your next red jacket or on target car driver, and yes, they'll bring you offspring. Early in my directorship, I had tremendous success. I guess I was one of the few fabulous 50s out of the Cadillac Gate Dean's List kind of thing for programs that did not exist. I had 2 car driving offspring sales directors 2 months after I debuted, and within 6 months they both quit and returned product. In between before that happened, I thought, what is wrong with all y'all? God is a beautiful humbler of people.
You better say it.
Oh yeah. And I learned what growth was. I'll tell you more about that in my speech later. I thought the best way to grow would be to exit left, right? Exit left stage. Well, with it, you know, the attrition was hard. It was ugly. I was ready to quit, and my senior director, my national name is Rad, who I rarely spoke with, but always immediately integrated her advice, gave me one piece of advice, one phone call, one piece of advice, one time. So for those of you who are advice suckers, give me some more advice. You like meditate on advice? Give me some more advice. I need one more piece of advice. Okay, what I'm saying to you is, she told me one time, Pam, build to a unit size of 100, focusing only on red jackets. Don't worry about anything else. If you just build to 100 and build red jackets, you will know where to go next. I didn't make her tell me twice. I didn't make her call me back. I just started doing that one thing. But there's another benchmark beyond 100, y'all. And magical things do happen at 100. How many of you have 100 or more in your unit right now on your printout? Okay, look around. People are like, okay, well, good for them. See, you've got growth they've already achieved in front of you. It's not that they're better, it's just that they made a decision and got there. But let me tell you something else. There's another benchmark beyond 100, and it's called 200. And there's a benchmark behind that, and it's called 300. And there's a benchmark behind that, and it's called 400 and 500 and so on. Now, before you get worked up, I want you to know that the process of getting from 20 to 100 is harder than getting from 100 to 200. And I want to tell you right now that getting from 200 to 300 is so flippin' easy. You can do it in 6 months. And 300 beyond is even more simple because you've got more people to include. I recently looked at some old director printouts as I was decluttering some office files, and I'd put off doing it because I knew I'd get stuck in these files, and I knew I'd have to look at stuff, and I knew I couldn't just throw stuff away like I wanted to and had planned to, just throw it, but I got stuck on these files from most of you were a sperm. But I looked at my printout from 1989, which was on the heels of this attrition. And my unit had barely done $250,000 in production. It used to be a unit club. Our new recruits per month were 0 to 4. And then as the year started to advance from 1989 to 1990, 91, 95, we built our $1 million legacy. And the only thing that changed was number of new people per month and my unit size. That's all that changed. Oh, excluding what was going on right here in my prefrontal cortex. Average 12 to 25 a month. My leadership vision and determination, and my unit size. So to ignore those two factors over and over again, it's a ridiculous head in the sand, surefire way to fail, or at least to feel like a failure, because nothing is growing. When I got my feet grounded on the number one focus of my role as a leader, creating growth. Foundational was always selling the product, but number one influence was to create growth and multiplication. I schooled my unit on the caliber and qualities we were looking for. I challenged them to bring me guests. I told them who we were looking for. I told them to find women who made them nervous and made them sweat, who were already successful in something or big connectors in their communities. I rewarded them for stepping out of their courage and bringing these women out of their comfort zone who made them nervous to me. On a Saturday morning in April and spring was starting to unfold in Kentucky, where it's truly beautiful after a cold winter. I got up and I got dressed in my director suit and pantyhose, which we used to have to wear, as you all know, to a local restaurant, Mariah's in Bowling Green, Kentucky, in a dining room, off room, where we would have what was called brunch. I didn't want to go. I wanted to go to the park with my family. I didn't want to put on pantyhose and heels that April morning. I wanted to put on shorts and a sweatshirt. But I also wanted to grow my unit in my national area. Building, I never traded what I want now for what I want most. Yet I lived a life in solid balance. Ask my 27-year-old son. I built my Florida's unit momentum one Saturday a month on this brunch, and my commitment to keep it going when I moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky was a commitment that was solid. I'll be home by 12, I told him. Walking with my purse and my boombox, that's all that was required to do a good meeting, my purse and a boombox. Fewer than 12 people were there. Out of the 12, there was one of my sweet tenured red jackets, a woman who still is with me today. She brought her guest, Barbara Johnson, an effervescent woman who lit up the room, a communications professor at Western Kentucky University where we live. Ruth, my consultant, had worn her down by constant invitations to come check out what we were doing in Mary Kay, to meet her director, Pam. Simply kind as a human being, Barbara finally said yes so that Ruth would stop calling her. Ruth, having been coached by me the week after that, the week after week after week, that this is what we do, this is who we ask, and this is how it's done, was relentless in her determination to bring me the caliber woman I was asking them to bring me. And that morning I told my I story, virtually to one woman in the room who laughed at every joke, and when it was all said and done, of course I got to the door so I could meet Barbara before she left, and she simply said, "I want your job. Can I have that application?" She thought there were two. The rest is history. I want to interject at this part of the story that Barbara's directorship was a wild success. First line, Cadillac, senior immediately. She was charismatic and people-driven and fun, followed her before she arrived and after she left. Her efforts and growth were pivotal to our entrance into the Inner Circle Hall of Fame. Every year I would talk to her about becoming a national. Julia Burnett was in her second line, and Julia debuted as a national first. Leah Laughlin was in Barbara's third line, and Leah debuted within 5 months of Julia. In 2013, I'd been a widow for 7 years, and I had missed 7 trips. I made the decision I would go to our anniversary trip in China, across the world. As I landed in Chicago, my son, who was struggling from a fraternity rejection and alcohol abuse, was driving home from college. 2013, I could see on my iPhone where he was. He was supposed to be on campus, and I knew he was leaving. And I knew I needed to get on the plane, and I knew I needed to be at home. What do you do? I called his mentor. Steve said, "Get on that plane. I'll find Thomas. It's gonna be okay." I flew 14 hours to China, next to Sabrina Goodwin Monday, praying, interceding for my son, the safety of my son. We got to China. I would go to my room and weep. I would go out with everybody else and climb the Great Wall of China and all the things associated with it. It was a beautiful trip and horrible season of life. I remember going to Red Square, and Sean Key said to me, "When is Barbara Johnson going to become a national sales director?" I said, "I don't know, Sean. Talk to her about it every year. I give her all the stuff. I show her the numbers." He goes, it's a matter of $1 million. Thank you, friend. It's a matter of $1 million. I'm like, "What do you mean it's a matter of $1 million? What do you mean?" He goes, "If she doesn't debut as a national sales director, she'll lose $1 million in retirement." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He showed me the numbers. I got home from China. Thomas was fine. I sat down with Barbara. I showed her the math. "Barbara, this is your money. This is what you built. It includes Julia. It includes Leah. It includes all of these people. Look at what you have. You just have to put the final touches on a national area." Barbara debuted as a national on the last day of the last month, but she could.
Wow. Come on. Praise God. Come on.
To receive the family security death benefit, you've got to live 1 year beyond your appointment. She had a deadly heart attack 6 weeks before that benchmark. It's not easy for me to tell you the rest of that story, but I tell it to you because one thing I believe most people completely do not understand is the fast passage of time.
Come on.
If you're in your 20s or 30s or even 40s, you feel like you have all the time in the world. How much time do you have for the next 10 years to be like the last 10 years? Because that's how it goes, unless something radically changes. And if you're in your 50s and 60s and you feel like it's too late and you're still making excuses, just a different kind, you and only you are holding you back. God gives us and leaves breath in our air because there are people who need to hear what we have from experience. And the position of national may not be for all of you who hit that window of time. That doesn't mean your influence is diminished. You and only you can change the pace of advancement. Okay, let's get back to the task at hand. It's your next gold medal. You know the origins of the gold medal? while watching the 1972 Olympics, you need to know this for Mary Kay history. While watching the 1972 Olympics, National Sales Director Emeritus Anna Ewing was inspired by the gold medal ceremony. She called Mary Kay Ash and proposed that we have a gold medal program, and so therefore it was launched. I want to tell y'all something. Practically every great program and every exciting thing that we have in terms of education, it came from the sales force. Get out from in front of the TV. Turn it off. I would love to say so much more in this moment. But I will stop. Let's grow your base. Gold medaling can change the complexion of your entire business. Can you imagine having 5 new team members this month to work with? The thrill of watching another sharp woman start her own business by becoming an independent consultant. Can you imagine what it will feel like watching her as she chooses to work her own business, set her own schedule, and build a life that she's willing to work for? Can you imagine her looking at some day and saying, thank you for being bold enough to ask me about this opportunity? I lived 1.5 miles from Barbara in our small town of Bowling Green, Kentucky, and every day I saw her, she said, thank you for holding that brunch on that Saturday. Thank you for going to China, even with everything inside of you saying not to because of your son. Thank you for sitting down over coffee with me one more time to tell me what was going to be beneficial about it. I was born to be a national sales director with Mary Kay, and she died having fulfilled what she was born
Praise
to
God.
do.
Come on.
You all, there are people waiting for you. There are people waiting for you. You know what a strong unit looks like. It can be considered a lot of things. Multiple people up the career path, production. It can be defined by proportion of senior consultants to your base. I would make it my goal from this point forward to have 50% of my new consultants as senior consultants in their first week. You may not have 50% seniors in your existing unit, but you can certainly have 50% of seniors in your unit moving forward. A strong unit always means having a foundation of selling, obviously, because production is tied to Cadillac and Unit Club or Top Trips, and we want people to be able to make money simply with the product. At 2022 Leadership Conference from Stage, many of you may have been there, I took you through the process of what it looked like to get ready for a party, to travel and come home from the party and clean up from the party, and all the pieces of that. And those of us who are old enough to know that we also had to wear a skirt and pantyhose added an extra layer of convenience, right? Mm-hmm. Today you can do a Facebook party with hundreds, and with no zip code barrier, with no time travel, dressed from the waist up. The tools we have today, the samples we have today, make what we used in the 90s look like, ghetto Mary Kay. You become complacent though, you guys. We're looking for some shining stars. Will you be those shining stars? People who pull out from the pack, regardless of what influencers or the people you look up to are or are not doing. Well, the top directors aren't getting 25. I don't care. That doesn't make them top. What makes them top is that they did something to get to 100 and 200, and their production, like Audrey was talking about, you've got a level of retention and productivity you can count on it. The bigger your unit is, the higher your unit production is, just based on that. Okay, seriously though, you've got to make this decision. We're looking for directors with high level integrity for the legacy of our company, and we're looking for directors who are willing to rise up and go hard. Set some monthly goals for yourself and include some of your unit members, but once you create this pattern, you'll want to make sure that you are thriving from 3 places. Number 1, systems. You have new team members on your team. Now what? Audrey went through that. I'm not going to repeat it, but I will tell you this. It's a system. I remember one day when I had said something really good to you, something fairly good to you, something awesome to you, and I'm like, I need to remember what I said to you. Because that was good. What was that? That's how you create a system. You sit down and you think of all the great things you've said, then you hone them out and you go, okay, this is what I'm going to say every single time. Now you can verify your results. When you say the same thing every time, now you can see what kind of results you're getting. Then you tweak your system. If you're just shooting by the pants and throwing spaghetti against the wall, see if one noodle sticks every time, everybody's frustrated. So systems, effort grows, systems teach and retain. So one of the best ways to get her excited about her business is to maximize the Great Start program. And again, I'm not going to go through that because Audrey really did. The question is this: how tight is your schedule? How strong is your launch party? Your 3P conversation, Power Start, Product on Hand, and Pearls. The high-end expectations and vision, and Great Start tracking. If it's not in place, it could be the limiting factor to team building in the first place. If you don't have something in place, you're not going to recruit. Take 4 flipping hours. Draw a map process and start practicing on people. Today the company has it for us in apps, but you got to take a few talking points to repeat every step of the way. When you have a solid weekly schedule in place for reco, education, sales tips, product knowledge. See, here's the thing. Here's what we have not done well. At your unit meeting, what did you do? You welcomed everybody, you hugged everybody, you entertained everybody, you told your I story, you did recognition for sales, you did recognition for guests, you did recognition for team building and move up. You gave recognition for, the whole thing. Then you talked to the guests, and then you closed the guests, and then you gave everybody a challenge, and then they went home and they did the challenge and they got a reward, and then you gave a reward next week for people who had done that. If your system right now does not do any of that, or all of that, revamp your system. I've got a unit meeting on 12. What do you do? Oh, I tell them a little bit of product knowledge. Okay. I'm waiting to hear the rest of it. They need recognition for sales. They need inspiration to move up. They need a challenge. They need, they got to bring guests. Oh, we don't have guests on our unit meeting. Why? Because you had guests at your unit meeting. Why don't you have guests on your unit meeting? Because you had guests at your unit meeting. We're talking semantic gymnastics here. At, on. That's not the big word. The big word is unit meeting.
Exactly.
At and on. You change your whole philosophy based on at and on? That does not make any sense. Number 2, education. You got to educate them about gold medaling. You got to educate them about moving up. They only know what you tell them, especially when they come in. It's like the benefit of having a second child, which I didn't have that benefit, but I understand there's a benefit. Like everything you messed up the first one on, you get it right the second time. You have another chance. Now I know why people have 5 and 6 children. I'm like, I got it. Too late, but I got it. Okay, when they understand this though, the additional income and potential learning, it will inspire them to become a red jacket with reds on their team, or an elite team leader, so that they can maximize this piece. So make sure they understand that. In the number 3 vision, create excitement for those unit members, gold medaling each month and growing teams, and then offer recognition, events, connection with you, conference calls, have a girlfriend outing with all your peak power achievers who have 1 to 5 new team members along with that. Maybe you have a vision board that shows who has the most gold medals so far. Make it a thing. I mean, when I was building my $1 million unit, Irving Foster brought $1,000 weeks to our unit. I had to buy a $1,000 ribbon to give to Irving because I didn't have one. She created that. And then we started creating $1,000 weeks as a standard. Why? Because one person broke the ceiling.
That's it.
You got to have one person break it. So obviously our goal is to mentor a unit of people that you pass your skills forward to, selling, team building, and leadership. For people who say, well, I don't want to create a weak unit, so I'm not going to hold all their events. You already have a weak unit. Why wouldn't you hold their events? So that you can strengthen them, so that they can watch you work. I'm a visual learner. They can watch you work with your hostesses and your guests and team building prospects and learn. Many people are visual learners. The people who want to gain more independence and learn the skills, they're going to do that, and then they're going to add their own events. The people who don't will at least have some place to sell. Otherwise, they'd be doing nothing. And the same is true of team building. I brought 100% of my prospects to my senior director all throughout my DIQ. I remember doing my first career chat as a sales director, and I was so scared I was just a cotton mouth. I couldn't breathe. But if Nancy had forced me to do it prior to that, I simply wouldn't have done it. I watched her team build on the back of a restaurant napkin over a cup of coffee. And today the resources are endless and the platforms and communication are endless. So maybe that's it. A confused mind does nothing. Make a decision. Is it Zoom? Is it in person? Is it both? Create a schedule for all. It's available to you, but stop being confused and just decide. We still have a legacy, 59 years, you guys, of women who really want it all. It's up to us to decide what to do to run our businesses for strong sales, growth, retention, leadership, and multiplication. But we absolutely have to consider what we have been doing and the results we have been getting. So for how many of you does this resonate? Yes, this makes sense, Pam. Yes. Yes, I know. But how many of you can say, yes, that's what I'm doing? So we've got to move from, yes, I get it, to yes, I'm gonna. I believe that adding 25 new, starting with a non-negotiable 10 a month, but 25 new a month, is available to every single person in this room. It's available to absolutely anybody who's willing to work from a vision with consistency out of her comfort zone, be slightly inconvenienced, and go the distance. I believe the reason you're not is because you just don't have those systems in place, the launch party and the orientation. But I'm going to tell you, you take 4 hours to put them in place, you're going to want to tell them to somebody. You will go find those women, and you will ask women who know women, and you will multiply and network through them. And if that's the case, my friends, I hope you hear me, it's a decision. It's a 4-hour design of commitment from a fresh schedule, and then it's a conversation with your family. My suspicion is that the majority of you do not have enough delegated help. House and business, the difference is in you and icons who've gone before you is taking advice or ignoring advice. I had a housekeeper when I was single in an apartment, and I learned a long time ago, and many of you know that it's foundational to the 90-day planner. Time invested in one area is time away from another. I am not a towel folder, but let me assure you, if we were in a towel folding contest, I would beat you. My towel folding skills rock. I just don't do it. It's not the best use of my time. There are now more fabulous food services, Green Chef, all the fresh, all the things. You're without excuse. I remember coming home from seminar where I delivered my son. Some of you may have been at Diamond that year. It was quite a seminar for me personally. I was nursing and I was going to get my nails done for the first time since I delivered him in Dallas, and I was waiting at the Intercoastal Bridge, and I called Kathy Lou. I said, "Hey Kathy, how you doing?" She's like, "Oh girl, we're getting ready at our 50th director unit." 50 directors? Oh my gosh. She goes, "Get some help." She was not compassionate. "How are you doing? Feel a little postpartum?" No. None of that. None of that. No empathy. She said, "Get some help." I said, "I've got help." "You don't have enough help. You just flew to Dallas with a baby in your belly, and you flew home with Dallas with a baby. You need more help." Now, how long do you think I thought about that advice? For the amount of time I was getting my nails done. And I went home and I got help. So here's the question for you. How long are you going to think about this advice? And how long is it going to take you to take it? After Jerry passed, I hired 8 people to do what he was doing in our home office. 2 in office and 6 virtuals. Today I have 4 virtuals, a housekeeper, my son who does shipping and works for me, and then an assistant who comes in 2 times a month to help. Your hired help and your earnings look like this. Initially, your earnings and your hired help, if this is a graph, they're going like this. But then your hired help levels out and your earnings keep going. Did everybody see that?
Yeah.
It starts out here. Oh, now this levels off, hired help, and your earnings keep growing. But they will never grow if you don't get enough help. If you know what to do, but you're not doing it because other things become more important, you've got to pay more people to do that. If you've ever said in the past 90 days, "I don't have time," you do have time. You can't see this, but I recently did a time study for the Shaw directors. They're all smiling. I love seeing your faces in here because they feel smart because they already know this. This is a 24-hour day, okay? I'm giving you 8 hours to sleep. Some of you don't sleep that much. You need to sleep at least 7 for your health. I don't have time to tell you more about that, but you must, all right? Then I've given you the frame of your day, 4 hours. Quiet time, meditate, journal, exercise, dress, learn. First 2 hours, last hour of your day, plus 1. That's a lot. That's 28 hours a week. That's a whole lot of time. Then I've given you 1 hour to think, prepare, and delegate. That is 5 to 7 hours weekly. You already know where 4 of those are going. It's on this new consultant systems kind of thing. That's a lot of time. Then I'm giving you 3 with your family, kids, pets, and house. 3. That's 21 hours a week. Most of y'all don't want to see your family 21 hours a week. I'm just saying you don't. But for all the mamas in the room, that's plenty of time. It gives you 8 hours to work your business. That's in the piece. If you're like, "Why do you have it divided up?" Well, because the first one says social media post and scroll, 2 hours.
Ooh.
Amen.
And I'm not going to tell you not to. Because posting has become a way of life. I do want to tell you that I know a new national sales director who didn't even have a Facebook page or an Instagram page, and she became a national. So for those of you like, "I don't want to do that," fine. Just do what I said the first time. For those of you like, "I got to post, me too." But not more than 2 hours. And it better not be leisure, comparison, procrastination, scrolling. It better be intentional posting or learning from someone else who is posting. So, hey, I left 2 hours in here. Because I could easily tell you not to post and scroll, but I'd be a hypocrite. 1 hour. Oh, 1 hour of your your 8 is distracted by the house, mail, laundry, notifications, and look for what I've misplaced. Or is that just me? Here's another hour. Post and reply to Boxer, check important groups. Another hour. That leaves us with 4 hours. So instead of putting 4 hours into social media, TV, scrolling, 4 hours, chicks. Y'all with me? Income producing activity, growth focused, events, personal selection, network. You, the new, and the few, and nobody else, and nothing else. Not Boxer, not Facebook, not Instagram. You, the new, and the few. 4 hours of income producing. And when you do that, if you do that 5 days a week, it's 20 hours. If you do that 6 days a week, it's 24 hours. You will blow everybody else out of the water. You can change anything in 90 days. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. These are 90-day principles. I teach them and design your life all day long, every day. And I know that they are true because I have built my own growth on them. The Lord as my shepherd. Time invested in one area is time away from another, so make very sure what your yes and your no mean. Change is hard, but the pain of regret is much harder than the pain of change. You can make change. Excuses are code for never. Wake up, shake it up, gold medal, 5 + 2 + 2, double gold medal. Challenge one or more of your unit members to come along and support the results through weekly scheduled events and vision words. Equip, expect, and act, and fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Don't lose any time. And oh my gosh, what have I been doing? Don't lose a day. Don't lose a minute. Go to the bathroom, cry once, leave. It's over. It's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Whatever day or year or years you have wasted, stop it. It's over. Only this point forward makes any sense in the world. Your new schedule will be hard because habits are deeply ingrained. The best thing you can do is start getting up at 5 a.m. Now I sound like Mary Kay Ash. I used to like, oh gosh, Mary Kay, don't say that. Today I naturally wake up between 4:30 and 5:30, whatever time zone I'm in. It's just a part of my life. People who wake up early have control over the rest of their days because you're more creative then, especially if you get to bed before 10 o'clock, because that's the way your biological clock works. Some of you are going, oh my God, yeah, you got a lot of work to do.
That's right.
And it's not just my opinion or my preference. I'm talking science and neurobiology. I'm talking epigenetics and all the stuff that I like to study on now. The new outcome, oh, it's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so worth recreating these new habits. And you pivot, and you create this new, beautiful, thriving, growing unit. Game on.
Game
Are you with me?
on. Game
Gold medal?
on.
Yes. Tag me at Pamela Shaw. I want to watch your growth. I want to see it. I'll repost it. We'll make an explosion out of it. We will show Mary Kay that Jacksonville Career Conference is on the money, and we are not here to play. We are here to work and to grow. Now you have to get out of your seats, and you have to go out those doors.